Greetings and salutations. This is the Adjutant. On this channel, I spend a lot of time talking about benefits, military retirement, financial strategy, and how service members can build real wealth over the course of their careers. But today, folks, I want to do something different because behind every lesson I share on this channel, there's a story, a real story, a story about decisions, mistakes, growth, and moments that completely changed the direction of my life. So today I'm starting something new and I'm calling it the Adjutant Story Series. In this series, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my military career. Not just the highlights, but the real journey, the experiences that shaped the way that I think about leadership, money, discipline, and life itself. And the only way to begin this series is at the beginning. Today, I'm going to answer a question that every veteran has a story about, a question that seems simple, but in reality, it's deeply personal. And that is, why did I join the military? Because the truth is, the decision to raise your right hand is one of the most consequential decisions a person can make. And when I look back now, after decades of service, I realize something very clearly. That single decision changed everything. Now, before the uniform, before the rank, before the decades of experience, I was just a young man from Pawleys Island, South Carolina, trying to figure out what direction my life was going to take. And if you're honest, that's where most young people find themselves at some point, standing at the edge of adulthood, looking out at the world and realizing something. Life is about to get very real. You start asking yourself questions. What am I going to do with my life? How am I going to build something? How am I going to create stability for myself? And eventually, how am I going to take care of my family? Those questions can feel very overwhelming because the world doesn't always give you a clear roadmap. Some people have mentors guiding them. Some people have family, businesses waiting for them. Some people go straight to college with a clear path in mind. But for many young people, me included, the path forward is not always obvious. And when you find yourself in that position, you start looking for opportunity. You start looking for something that can give you direction, something that can give you structure, something that can help you become the person you know you're capable of becoming. For me, that opportunity began to appear in the form of the military. Now, every veteran can remember the moment when the military stopped being an abstract concept and started becoming a real possibility. Maybe it was a conversation. Maybe it was seeing someone in uniform. Maybe it was a recruiter walking through your school hallway. Or maybe it was a moment where you realized I had something bigger than where I am right now. Now, for me, the military represented something powerful. It represented structure, discipline, purpose, opportunity. Because when you're young, you can feel all your potential. You know there's something inside you that wants to grow, wants to achieve, wants to accomplish something meaningful. But sometimes you need an environment that can bring potential out of you. And the military is exactly that kind of environment. It takes young people from all kinds of backgrounds and places, and them in a system designed to build discipline, responsibility, and leadership. And that ideal began to resonate for me at a very young age. Now, eventually the moment arrives when you stop thinking about the military and you start seriously considering it. And that's when the decision begins to kind of take shape. Joining the military is different from almost any other career decision because when you join, you are committing yourself to something bigger than just individual interest. You're literally agreeing to place your life in service to your country. That's not a small commitment, folks. And if we're being honest, most young people who join the military don't fully understand the magnitude of that commitment at the time. You don't know where you'll be stationed. You know, it could be in Panama, it could be in Iraq. You just don't know. You don't know what challenges you'll face. You don't know what sacrifices will be required. But something inside you says the path matters. This path leads somewhere. This path can change my entire life. And eventually, the moment arrives. The moment when you stop thinking about it and you make the decision to raise your hand. Now, every service member remembers that moment, raising the right hand, taking the oath, swearing to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. It's a powerful moment because in that moment, you stop and you step all across boundaries that you may have never realized. Before that moment, you're a civilian. After that moment, you are part of a profession that has existed for generations. A profession built on duty, a profession built on sacrifice, a profession built on the ideal that some things are bigger than ourselves. And in that moment, your life begins moving in a completely different direction. You may not fully realize it yet, but that one decision sets you in motion a chain of events that will shape the rest of your life. Now, what the military taught me. We're going to talk about that. When I joined the military, I thought I was just simply choosing a career. What I didn't realize was that I was entering an environment that would transform the way I think about life itself, because the military teaches lessons that stay with you forever. What are they? Discipline, responsibility, leadership, accountability. The military teaches you that success is built through consistency, not through shortcuts, not through luck, but through showing up every day and doing the work. It teaches you how to push through discomfort, how to take responsibility for others, how to make decisions under pressure, and perhaps most importantly, and this is key, folks, how to think beyond yourself. Those lessons shape the way you approach everything in life, your career, your finances, your leadership style, your relationships, everything. Now, let's talk about lessons that I've learned much later. There's something I didn't fully understand when I first joined, that the military is not just a job, it's a platform for opportunity, a platform for education, a platform for leadership development, and a platform for building long-term financial stability. But here's the key. Remember this. Those opportunities only benefit if you recognize them, if you approach your career with intentionality, if you think long-term. That realization came later for me. It came through experience. It came through observation. It came through seeing other people who use the military to build incredible lives for themselves, and others who simply just passed through it without ever recognizing the opportunity that was right in front of them. That realization is one of the reasons I started this channel, because I want service members to understand something that many people don't realize until much later in their careers. The military can give you extraordinary opportunities, but you have to be intentional about how you use them. Now, looking back, I see many things. I look back across the decades. I can clearly see something that wasn't obvious to me at the beginning. One decision changed everything, and that was the decision to join. That one moment set my life on a completely different trajectory. It shaped my leadership. It shaped my financial philosophy. It shaped the way I approach challenges. And ultimately, it shaped the lessons I now share with others, which brings us to this series. Because behind every lesson on this channel, there's a story. The purpose of the Adjutant Story Series is simple: to share the real experiences behind the lessons, the leadership lessons, the career decisions, the mistakes that taught me the most valuable insights, because the military journey is not always easy, but it is incredibly meaningful and the experiences gained along that journey can shape a person in ways that last a lifetime. This video marks the beginning of a new chapter on this channel, the beginning of the Adjutant Story Series. In the episodes ahead, I'm going to share the moments that shaped my career, the lessons I learned, the decisions that changed everything, and the experiences that ultimately led me to where I am today. Because every military career has a story, and this is where mine begins. This is the Adjutant, and I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.